Scouting the Jets, where are the advantages for the Cowboys, and who, if any, are you afraid of on the Jets, if any one?
I got a couple of places, Kevin, that are a little unnerving for me. Breece Hall being one of them.
Yeah.
They like to run the ball with lots of blockers out on the field. I don't know if you've seen this or not, Kevin. Currently, he has 12.7 yards per attempt.
See that. Yeah.
I
Is
mean,
that good?
well,
yes.
If he breaks open for an 83-yarder, then yeah, that's going to be pretty good. So like that is the hefty part of his 12.7 yards per carry is
But
that
even
he
if
did have an 83-yard run.
Even if you take that out, though, that's 9 carries for 44 yards. That's 5 yards a carry, or 4.9 yards a carry. That's pretty darn good.
Last year in his 80 attempts, he averaged 5.8 yards per carry, and the injury obviously was part of that too. And they're pretty good at running the ball. Like they've thrown a lot of people behind there. Their offensive linemen are pretty good at running the ball. Their pass protection is not that great, but and they have some people that you're like, hey, these guys are pretty good offensive linemen, but they're better at running the ball than they are at pass protection. So that's a big factor. Kevin, I have never seen this stat before, and I don't know how they track this, but they say a successful rush gains 40% of yards required on first down, 60% yards required on second down, and 100% on third and fourth down.
Okay.
So your success percentage is the stat. He has a success percentage of 60%. So 60% of the time,
it works every time.
He gets what he's supposed to get on that down. So that's the expected stuff there. So Breece Hall, like this is one of those, again, Cowboys' weakness, their strength. I don't think their strength is going to outdo the Cowboys by any means. It could be frustrating, and on Monday we might walk in here and be like, it's not fixed. Like that could be the worst part of it. Although there was some promise from Mozzie, man. I went back and checked him out a little bit. I was very happy with what I saw. But I would say Breece Hall is the first point that I would probably be like, okay, but I don't think that's how they're going to win.
And if I could throw this in about Breece Hall as well, he was catching about 3 passes a game last year before, obviously, he got injured. So that's something you always worry about when a team is so adept at pass rushing is over pursuit. Like you saw that cost the Cowboys a couple times against Daniel Jones is because once they were invested, then he had a little bit more room to move. I wonder the same thing. Is Breece Hall on a little screen, dump it out there after you've over pursued the quarterback, then could that cost you out on the sides as well?
I don't think you're ever going to get an honest answer out of this, but I do wonder if Dan Quinn cares. Like, to be a dominant defense, you shut everything down, right?
Sure.
And the most important factor is how do you get out on third down? And if you're forcing teams into long situations early in the drive, then more likely you're going to be able to pass rush, and you can get out on third down by forcing some sort of error whenever they have a long distance to deal with. But I do wonder if Dan Quinn's like, look, I'm willing to give up run yards. I'm fine with that. But my pass defense and my pass rush are dominant. I think that they currently look at their secondary as elite, and they look at their pass rush as elite. And I do wonder if Dan Quinn, like in the honesties of his bowels or the cockles of his heart, if he would sit there and say, you know what, more often than not, I'm willing to give up a 4-yard run, but I'm not willing to give up a 40-yard pass.
Okay, quick question while we're in the midst of this then. I feel like at least in this moment, most people would agree that the Cowboys pass rush is elite. I know you said Dan Quinn things. Do y'all think the Cowboys defensive backfield is elite?
I think Stephon Gilmore is still a top 10 cornerback. And I think that Trayvon Diggs, I don't think people want to throw his way. And then seeing what he did Sunday night being physical, that just added to what I think of him.
Do you think that the Jets' defensive backfield is better than the Cowboys? Because I do think the Cowboys have the argument of possibly.
I think I might.
Okay,
yeah,
that's fair.
I'm not saying it's like a giant I think I do.
That's where I don't know if the Cowboys are going to go up against better secondaries than the one that they have. But I think there is an argument in this week, this Sunday, that maybe by a smidge that the Jets have a better defensive backfield, not a better overall defense.
Yeah.
But I do think it's very close.
Because you look at somebody who could be the best cornerback in the game in Sauce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then last week, nobody had a better game than Jordan Whitehead. He had three
That's a cool stat.
He had 3 interceptions. Think about this. Whitehead had an incentive in his contract for a $250,000 bonus if he got 3 interceptions for the season. He got 3 against Josh Allen in that game. So based off of just 1 week, you can't play better than him. And then obviously Sauce is lurking out there. They do have a hell of a defensive backfield.
I would say this, Mike, going into the season, this is as of June, and I don't have a new update on this right now, but as of June, Pro Football Focus had the Jets as the number 1 secondary. Okay. And the Cowboys is 6.
Okay.
So, Mike, you're right.
Fair.
Like, it is close. You said it was close, and I do wonder if after what you saw on Sunday from the Cowboys, if maybe they inched up just a little bit because, hey, this Deron Bland is for real. Stephon Gilmore isn't, done. I do wonder about that. But, man, like, their secondary is pretty stacked, dude. And Sauce was the number 1 ranked cornerback at the end of the year last year. Like he's that
incredible.
Dude. He is, and he's one of those guys that I'm thinking that Dak Prescott, and I was listening to Bobby talk this morning about it. They leave their corners on either side. All right, they're like, this is how we're going to play defense. Yeah. So they leave them there. You can say, all right, we're going to move CD around, but you still have tough cornerbacks to deal with. So I would say, Kevin, I am a little afraid of their secondary. If Dak Prescott comes out of this game without an interception, I think that a lot of people would sit back and go, crap, maybe they did something right with this offense and this transition here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, and that's why it makes it hurt all the more about the potential absence of Brandon Cooks. Not because the Jets will be the toughest team that you play, but like y'all are bringing up, maybe this is the toughest secondary that you'll see all season.
This would be a great opportunity for Jalen Tolbert to get to shine on the stage, man.
That is true. But on the flip side, so there are a lot of matchups that are potentially concerning. On the flip side, the Jets have a lot to deal with. Clearly, their offensive line did not look like world beaters in that first game, hence partially why Aaron Rodgers got hurt. And then you get to go up against Zach Wilson. So if you're talking about advantages for the Cowboys, our defensive line against their offensive line, and then our defensive line against their quarterback, those feel like huge advantages.
Yeah, that's where, I think the Mike game and how they go after the quarterback is going to produce those opportunities to turn the ball over. It's going to produce those opportunities to get out on third down. It's going to create mistakes. If Zach Wilson, I don't know if he's ready for this opportunity. Like he lost the opportunity. But he thought for an entire season he would be sitting behind Aaron Rodgers and getting his clipboard season in, which he probably should have gotten earlier on in his career because he didn't have the experience to play then.
Now, if you look at, he played the vast majority of this last game. Zach Wilson, 23 games in his career. Of those 23, how many do you think he passed for at least 2 touchdowns?
23. 7.
1.
It's 5.
All right.
But the big thing here is compare that with, you know how many he threw for 0 touchdowns in? 12.
12.
Half of the time he throws for no touchdowns. He's never thrown for more than 2 touchdowns in a game, by the way.
I just don't think he has an edge about him. I think he lacks a lot of confidence. I think he gets scared really easily. I didn't know him much out of BYU. I had a buddy who loves college football, obviously loves pro football too, and he thought Zach Wilson was going to be the answer in the NFL.
Yeah.
But watching him play, there seems to be, even his teammates know, it's like they overpraise him on the sideline. Kind of like, you did it, man. You can do it. That's great. You're so good. You're so good. And he's kind of like, yeah, I guess so. Maybe I am.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, God, like, get some balls, man. Like, start having an edge to your game. God gifted you with some talent, and you seem scared to use them.
They have the Jets also have a pretty aggressive defensive front four.
They do. Cowboys win because Cowboys lose because one of those players is going to be prominently featured for me.
Carl Lawson, Quentin Williams, Quentin Jefferson. Like that's a tough trio to deal with right there. And John Franklin Myers. Like that's fun. But then on top of that, their linebackers are pretty good too. So
that defense is legit.
They built this team with the mindset of, we don't need Aaron Rodgers to save us. We need Aaron Rodgers to be a stable hand on the wheel. That's it. And that's what they expected. That's what they were hoping. Unfortunately, their offensive line still stinks at pass blocking. So when he dropped back, he gets hurt. And that was, Kevin, that was a problem last year. It was a problem throughout the entire preseason for the Jets, where he said, look at the rest of this team. Offensive line, you have to show up ready. You have to be the enforcers of this. And they have yet to answer that call.
Does that negate your concerns over Garrett Wilson then? Because, like, first of all, if the quarterback's different and if the offensive line is struggling, you don't feel like you're going to get hit for too many, maybe not too many passes at all, but definitely not too many lengthy passes.
Mike, you were talking about this with basketball and baseball earlier. Like, Jordan Montgomery isn't going out there and changing his game plan. With Zach Wilson, you have to change your game plan for everything you built in for the year. You had to drop a whole new playbook this week. And so, like, if you're thinking Zach Wilson, you're thinking we got to get the ball out of his hand quickly and into space. And you're not thinking we have these complex things that we were planning to run with Aaron Rodgers, and now he can do it too.
You know, it'll be interesting to see in the first quarter, first few possessions for the Jets is how much the Cowboys dare them to pass. Everybody's a little bit, if there's any concern or from offense from the Jets, is that they just keep running it for 5 yards a carry approximately, and they keep getting first downs and wearing out the clock and making the game the shortest possible game. Like, for them, the kickoff's at 3:25, correct?
Yep.
They want the game to end at 5:45.
Sure.
For a perfect game for the Jets is this game is 2.5 hour game because they are just milking the clock and making this a very small possession game. So I'm just wondering, the Cowboys kind of having an idea of that, not feeling that threatened by Zach Wilson. How many times are they stacking 8 or even 9 in the box and going, look, we get it. Garrett Wilson's out there. Here it is. Trayvon Diggs is on him. If you want to throw it to him, we have no safety help. He is one-on-one, just daring and begging and pleading for Zach Wilson to throw the ball. I don't know. Does it take some time? Is it after maybe? Let's just go.
I mean, the Cowboys have to stop their run. They do that early.
Sure.
Let's go negative Cowboys, positive Jets here. The first drive, the Jets hand the ball off 4 times, and in those 4 plays, they've ran for 30 yards. That's scary, right?
That is scary.
Was it because the Cowboys are like, we're going to play more base defense and see what happens? Like, after 4 plays, are they like, screw it, safety's up? Like, now, like, we have to dare them, or they're like, no, we're okay to bend. We'll stop their run with just our regular defense. It's going to be interesting if the Jets are successful early in the game running, how much the Cowboys just say, we are letting you see us.
Yeah.
Please drop back and pass the ball.
I would assume that Dan Quinn would probably try to disguise a little early of what they're doing, back there, and have safety read up on the backfield. But you don't want that opportunity to get surprised with a 35-yard pass, on a play action. That's what they get. That's what they have to avoid, is not just biting down.
And for the person who's asking, at least as of right now, the Jets' backup quarterback is Tim Boyle, who feel like
nobody's heard of.
Yeah, exactly.
I go to our lads, Kevin. They have 0 people behind him. So
okay,
like, there you go. Good luck.
Right now, that's who it is. And then just keep an eye out.
Randall Cobb would probably be the emergency guy.
Tim Boyle. Yeah. Keep an eye out for Xavier Gibson, the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. 3rd punt return touchdown in overtime history in the NFL. And so just keep an eye out if you're looking for a special teams play to change the game. We just saw that in favor of the Cowboys.